August 14, 1942. Over the frozen North Atlantic. To silver shapes knifed through a ceiling of gray cloud, twin-tailed P-38 Lightnings 200 miles southwest of Iceland. Below them, the sea churned in endless, steel-colored fury. In one cockpit, Second Lieutenant Ella Shahin adjusted his oxygen mask, his breath frosting the glass. Beside him, Major John Weltman mirrored his movements, steady and silent. Hours passed in monotony, gray sky, gray water, engines droning in hypnotic rhythm. Then, a shadow emerged on the horizon, long, dark, and predatory. A Focke-Wulf FW-00 Condor, the Luftwaffe's maritime killer, limped home from an attack on an Allied convoy. Minutes earlier, a Royal Air Force Nomad had radioed its position. Now, fate was closing in. Lieutenant Joseph Schaefer, flying a P-40 Warhawk, struck first. Tracer rounds lanced across the clouds, tearing into the Condor's wing. Smoke bled from one engine. Shahin and Weltman dove next, throttles forward. The twin Allisons screaming like beasts unleashed. Their attack was swift and surgical. 4.50 caliber guns and a 20mm cannon converging on one point. In seconds, the Condor exploded, a fiery blossom over the Atlantic. Its wreckage burned, then vanished beneath the waves. The two Lightnings circled in silence, engines idling. Shahin's voice finally broke the radio static, target destroyed. Unbeknownst to them, they had made history, the first Luftwaffe aircraft ever shot down by United States Army Air Force fighters. That day, the P-38 Lightning introduced itself to the world, not as a curiosity, but as a herald of a new kind of war. 3 months earlier, far from the Atlantic's cold winds, German intelligence analysts gathered around grainy reconnaissance photos. The images showed a bizarre new American aircraft, 2 engines mounted on twin booms, a cockpit pod suspended in the center, and tricycle landing gear. The design offended every Luftwaffe doctrine. To seasoned tacticians, twin-engine fighters were a failed idea. The Luftwaffe had tried it with the Bf-110 Zerster during the Battle of Britain and paid in fire and wreckage. Too heavy, too slow, one colonel muttered, tossing the photo aside. It won't last a week in combat. But in America, Lockheed engineers knew better. The P-38's designer, Clarence Kelly Johnson, had created something the world had never seen. Its twin engines counter-rotated to eliminate torque. Its nose-mounted guns ensured all fire met perfectly at the crosshairs. By August 1942, those absurd machines were proving their worth over Iceland. German arrogance was soon to meet its reckoning. November 19, 1942. The skies over Tunisia shimmered with heat and war. 18 Lightnings of the 1st and 14th fighter groups escorted B-17s bound for Axis targets. High above, Luftwaffe ace Franz Schiess of Jagdgeschwader 53 spotted them. 19 kills to his name, he dove confidently with his Bf-109s. But the lumbering Lightnings did not scatter, they turned into the attack with impossible speed. Schiess blinked in disbelief as one massive fighter swung around on him. Nose flashing, his wingman vanished in flame. 3 German pilots were gone in seconds. Shaken, Schiess broke off, whispering, "What kind of devil is this?" The Luftwaffe's illusion shattered, the twin-boom Predator had arrived. The story of the Lightning's creation began 5 years earlier. In 1937, 2 U.S. Army officers, Benjamin Kelsey and Gordon Saville, drafted a radical specification, a fighter that could reach 360 miles per hour at 20,000 feet, climb to 36,000, and sustain that speed for an hour. No aircraft in existence came close. At Lockheed, 27-year-old Clarence Kelly Johnson believed he could do it. His blueprint resembled a machine out of myth: twin booms for power, twin tails for balance, and a slender pod for the pilot. Critics laughed. Johnson ignored them. The prototype XP-38 flew in January 1939. It shattered speed records on its first cross-country flight, though it crashed on landing due to icing. The message was clear: the Lightning was unlike anything before it. By 1942, it was ready for war. Its twin Allisons gave it ferocious climb power. Its concentrated firepower could shred bombers or fighters alike. Over North Africa and the Mediterranean, Axis pilots learned to fear its silhouette. Luftwaffe ace Franz Stigler later admitted, below 15,000 feet, it could outclimb anything we had. Attack one head-on and you'd be dead. The Lightning's reputation grew with each engagement. Pilots spoke of its stability, its resilience, and its range, a weapon engineered not just to fight, but to survive. What had begun as a strange American experiment was fast becoming the scourge of the Axis skies. April 18, 1943, the Pacific Theater. 18 P-38s roared low over endless blue, flying from Guadalcanal on a mission cloaked in secrecy. Their target, Admiral Yamamoto, architect of Pearl Harbor. For 430 miles, they flew in radio silence, hugging the waves at treetop height to evade radar. The sun burned white overhead, salt spray streaking the canopies. Lieutenant Rex Barber checked his watch, perfect timing. At 9:34 a.m., over Bougainville, they spotted two Japanese bombers escorted by Zeros. There he is, Barber murmured. He throttled forward, lining up his sights. A burst of fire, tracers tore through the air. Yamamoto's bomber shuddered, its wings sheared away, spiraling into the jungle below. The mission succeeded flawlessly, one of the most precise aerial assassinations in history. Not a single radio call, not a second wasted. It was the Lightning's range, precision, and endurance that made it possible. While Europe was dominated by dogfights at altitude, the Pacific demanded something different: reach, reliability, and resilience. The P-38 delivered all three. Its legend now spanned to oceans. But darker clouds loomed. The colder, higher battles of Europe would test even this engineering marvel to its limit. By 1944, Lightning squadrons fought over Europe's frozen altitudes. The cold seeped into cockpits, fuel lines froze, and engines faltered above 25,000 feet. German fighters, Bf-109 gigaseconds and FW-190s, held the advantage there. Yet in the hands of skilled pilots, the P-38 remained deadly. It could dive faster than any Axis plane, absorb heavy damage, and still bring its pilot home. Twin engines meant safety. A wounded Lightning could limp hundreds of miles back to base, one propeller silent. American aces Richard Bong and Thomas McGuire mastered it. Bong scored 40 kills, McGuire 38, both flying Lightnings exclusively. Their duels became legend across the Pacific. The Luftwaffe, forced to adapt, issued manuals: attack from above, avoid head-ons, never try to alternate low. Even so, losses mounted. Franz Schiess, the very ace who once underestimated it, was shot down and killed by a Lightning in 1943. Poetic justice written in smoke and fire. As newer models like the P-38J emerged, improvements followed: hydraulically boosted ailerons for faster roll, dive flaps to prevent instability, and heated cockpits for high-altitude survival. Yet another star was rising: the P-51 Mustang. Faster, lighter, and more efficient, it gradually replaced the Lightning in European skies. But the P-38 story was far from over. In the Pacific, the Lightning remained supreme. Its long legs and twin engines gave it dominance over vast ocean distances, where failure meant death. Japanese ace Saburo Sakai admitted once they learned not to dogfight us, we could not touch them. They chose when to fight and when to vanish. The Lightning became the hunter of the Pacific, strafing airfields, sinking ships, escorting bombers, and claiming nearly 1,000 enemy aircraft by war's end. To German pilots, it was the Gabelschwanz-Teufel, the fork-tailed devil. To Americans, it was a symbol of ingenuity and precision, a machine that embodied courage itself. As peace returned, engineers studied its design with reverence. Twin booms, centralized firepower, and long-range balance, concepts that would inspire generations of fighters to come. What had begun as an experiment in 1937 had ended as a legend of the air. The Lightning had forced the world to rethink what flight and warfare could be. In the words of one veteran, she wasn't just a plane. She was a promise that no sky was too wide and no enemy too far. Beneath its twin tails, in vapor and flame, the fork-tailed devil carved its immortality into the heavens.